Peter went over to the kosher table, while Paul went over to the Gentile table. Peter noticed that there was pork roast on the Gentile table. After dinner, Peter joined Paul and they went outside for a little walk. Peter said, I noticed that you ate at the Gentile table. Yes, Paul said, and I noticed that you ate a pork tonight. Is it good? I never have tasted it. Yes, Paul said, it's delicious. Then Peter asked, do you think it would be all right if I ate over there? And Paul said, well, it is my understanding that are going to have some nice pork chops in the morning for breakfast. Why don't you try it? So in the morning, when he came to breakfast, he went over to the Gentile table, sat down gingerly, and rather reluctantly took a pork chop. After he had tasted it, he said to Paul, it is delicious, isn't it? Paul said, yes. After all, under grace, you can either eat it or not eat it. It makes no difference. Meat won't commend you to God. So Simon Peter said, I'll be there tonight, and I understand you're having ham tonight. I want to try that. So at dinner time, he starts rushing for the Gentile table when he looks over and sees some of the elders from the Jerusalem church who had come to visit also. So Simon Peter went all the way around that Gentile table, went over to the kosher table, and sat down like a little wimping puppy. Paul saw him do that, and this is what happened. And that concludes this section. Now we're going to move on to the next section, which is verses 13 and 14. Verse 13. And the other Jews dissembled likewise with him, insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all, if thou, being a Jew, livest after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews? It it was all right for Peter to eat at either table, kosher or Gentile, but after he had been eating at the Gentile table, and for fear of the brethren from Jerusalem, goes back to the kosher table, he is saying by his actions that the Gentile table is wrong and the kosher table is right. Now, these brethren from Jerusalem were uh, austere legalist, and under grace, that was their privilege. I have no objection to folks today who feel that they should not eat certain meats, but they are also to give me the liberty of eating what I choose to eat. Frankly, I do not eat much pork myself for health reasons, but it is not a religious matter at all. Simon Peter turned from the liberty he had in Christ back to Judaism again. The nature of Paul's rebuke shows, first of all, the inconsistency of law keeping. If it was right for Simon Peter to live as the Gentile believers lived, why should he desire the Gentiles to live as the Jews? That is what he was saying when he left the Gentile table for the kosher table. If Gentile living under grace apart from the law was good enough for Peter, was it bad for the Gentiles themselves? If Simon Peter was free to live outside the law, was it not lawful for the Gentiles